Two ManUtd goals there. Then he's measured 10-5 now to ManU. Now let's focus on one game, Colin. You talk us through why this is definitely to scale, as it were.
Yes, like again, some people will say that being soccer is the real game. If you watch one of the game, you actually see all the pictures of senior football. So, for example, in the game there's water division. It's right for a real kid, it's a real kid. Then you see me go for passing the ball. You see the Blues challenging and tackling. You see the Blues intercepting.
Half an hour of kick-off in the FA Cup final 1995. The team news, major stories from both camps. First up for Everton, Duncan Ferguson is stripped and will take a part, but he is not in the starting 11 for Everton. I mentioned a hernia operation, double hernia, on April the 19th, and he's played only 45 minutes of action since then. And for Manchester United, this is Ryan Giggs. And Giggs, who's made a late and dramatic recovery from a hamstring strain to be in the squad today, will be on the bench. Let's confirm the team lineups. We have them now. Dave Besant is my guest here today. And Dave, first up, in goal for Everton, Neville Southall. Perhaps you as a fellow pro should give us an appreciation of him.
Yeah, Neville's been a tremendous stalwart, and I mean, people began to try and pick holes in him earlier on in the season, but he's come flying through this season.
The rest of the Everton side, Matt Jackson, signed from Luton Town, now aged 23, his best season so far. Andy Hinchcliffe, keep an eye on his service from the left side especially, a deadly left foot at set pieces and a very good crosser of the ball in open play, big and strong and quick. Dave Watson, Everton stalwart for more than a decade, Liverpool born and bred although he came from Norwich City. Gary Ablett, who played against Dave for Liverpool back in '88.
Yeah, I think that was his first FA Cup final, and he was a bit green there, but now he's had a great few seasons, and I'm sure he'll be leading by example out there today. Graham Stewart, yeah, Graham was at Chelsea with myself, and he scored some vital goals this season, and especially in the semi-final, he created a couple of goals for McCarthy, and I think he's gonna be. I think he's in really because Ferguson is a lack of match fitness.
And that is the big team news story, that Graham Stewart will start today. He's had an up-and-down relationship with Joe Royle, but he'll feel he's got rewarded for his good cup performances today. In the middle of the park, Barry Horn, one of the self-styled dogs of war, the battlers, for Everton. Horn, experienced, seasoned professional, but arguably his best season in top football.
Yeah, he was another one from Southampton.
Dave's current club, of course. Paul Rideout, who once scored a famous goal for England's schoolboys at Wembley, a 30-yard special. He'll be looking for a repeat today in senior football. This probably the biggest game Rideout's ever played in English football. And Anders Limpar, an unknown quantity, but Dave, Everton's potential match winner today.
Yeah, Limpar has been in and out again this season, and I mean, when he's come on, the crowd love him. They rise to their feet and are totally behind him. A bit indifferent, unpredictable, but as you've said, he can turn a game with one of his pieces of skill.
Will he fancy himself against either Irwin or Neville today?
I think you'll see him probably in the right back position. That would be taking on Neville, and he can go inside or out, and he's definitely going to be a handful for the young fullback.
If ever there was a stage for a Wembley winger to produce a performance, it would be Anders Limpar today, wouldn't it? Let's complete the Everton lineup with Joe Parkinson, the young defensive midfield player. A big step up in class for him from Bournemouth, and he struggled at first, but again, his battling has been so vital as Everton fought for survival. And possibly Everton's young player of the season, David Unsworth, only 21, and England under 21, and on the verge of senior honours already. Left-sided, but a superb header of the ball, big and strong, and he looks like he's going to have a long career in top football. Now for Manchester United. Peter Schmeichel, David.
Yeah, Peter's he's been tremendous for Man United. I'm not sure how many years he's been there, but I think he's got plenty of respect, not just at Old Trafford, throughout the other goalkeepers in the unofficial union. I mean, one of his great assets is his distribution with his throw. I've never seen a goalkeeper with an arm so good and so long as what he's got.
When you talk about presence in a goalkeeper, this man invented that, didn't he?
Yeah, Peter, he stands big and strong, and I mean, he lets his defence know exactly what's going on, and once he's in those goals, he's a size to beat.
Manchester United lacked him at times this season with injury, but this is probably their most consistent performer this season. Dennis Irwin, who came back from a long and pretty disappointing World Cup campaign, and he's slotted right in and given another outstanding season of service to Manchester United. Top scorer in the FA Cup for United with 4 so far, a defender who scores goals. At the heart of the defence, Steve Bruce, the man who's done it and won it all for Manchester United. Dave, I just wonder, England's best uncapped defender?
Yeah, he's been on the verge for so many years. People keep talking about him, and he just hasn't managed to break in. I think at the present time his age is going against him, but I mean, he's been again another tremendous stalwart for Man United. And
he gets more than his fair share of goals, doesn't he? One remembers back a couple of years ago he was one of the top scorers at the club.
Yep, he scores vital goals. He's going to be a force on any set plays. Scored vital goals when Manchester United won the league title last season. Important goals at important times.
How happy will he be to hear that Ferguson's not going to be lining out against him to start this game?
I think, I mean, I don't think that Bruce would have picked him up anyway. I think Pallister would have done it. So, I mean, they've still got their hands full with Paul Rideout.
Thank you, Dave. Lee Sharp, utility man, midfield, can play at full-back, scores plenty of goals, had his injury problems in the last year and a half or so, but now is looking to go on to consolidate and become a top player in his own right. Still only 23, it's incredible to consider that. At age 29, Gary Pallister is now really emerging as a force in international football for England. Dolly and Daisy, Alec Ferguson calls the Pallister-Bruce central defensive partnership. Dave Besson thinks that he would have been the man to take Ferguson. What are his other qualities?
Well, I wouldn't like to be calling either of them Dolly or Daisy but straight away, but Pallister again, I mean, the understanding they've got together, and I mean, that's one thing. When either have been missing, I think Manchester United have struggled at the back.
In the heart of the midfield, Paul Ince, England's finest in his position. Since his arrival from West Ham United, he's emerged at the top level. A player you'd always want to have in your side, Dave, certainly. Now, Brian McClare, vastly underrated performer, perhaps through his whole career, but he's played in 8 cup finals, north and south, first for Celtic and then in his career at Manchester United. And he looked to be a player on the way out this time last year, and he's come back, Dave, and given a brilliant account of himself this season.
Yeah, I think that Brian can play has played in nearly every position from Manchester United, and as you say, I think a team without Brian McClare is a team that's not going to do as well.
Not a fussy footballer, but an intelligent, hard-working player.
Yeah, I think he keeps a low profile. He's not one of these ones that everybody expects to see his face on the television.
Mark Hughes, we've discussed already today. The linchpin in the attack at the age of 31. One wonders how long he can keep going. Is his game equipped to keep going in his 30s, do you think?
I think it's very important that he didn't go earlier on in the season. I think it's proving the fact that Manchester United and Mark Hughes are a tremendous combination.
He gets the big game goals, as Dave mentioned, the ultimate battling forward. In the middle of the park, Roy Keane, an abrasive character, and that we believe will be one of the important areas in who gets dominance in this game today. Keane's had a difficult season with his disciplinary problems and his injury problems, but Manchester United are stronger for the presence of Keane. Nicky Butt is a youngster with a huge future in the game, but one of 4 Manchester United youngsters rewarded with new contracts, or the promises of new contracts this week. He has emerged in startling fashion, homegrown talent, and who knows, he could be anything in football. And so too, this young man, Gary Neville, at the age of 20, he performs with the maturity of a player much older. Again, Manchester United, born and bred. His young brother also looks to be a top player in the making. So that's the Manchester United lineup. What a stage for young Neville. But Dave, he seems to have the sort of character and presence of mind to deal with everything that they throw at him.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what you've said about both Gary Neville and Nicky Butt, but I mean, they're playing far beyond their years, and I don't think you'll be finding that they'll be lacking any experience or be classed as a weakness in the Manchester United team today.
More from Dave Besant. Thanks, Dave, as we continue the build-up to the FA Cup final. The crowd most certainly is in good voice now. Everton in blue and white, Manchester United in red and white. Giant clubs with giant support. When we come back, we'll meet our match referee, Gerald Ashby. We've discussed the team news stories with Dave Besant. Dave, we're looking at the Everton support. They've had a season, well, they've had a couple of seasons where their hearts have been in their mouths week by week. So in a way, a reward for them. But for the Manchester United faithful, it's business as usual, really, to be back at Wembley today, isn't it?
Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, I mean, actually going to Wembley after the season that Everton have had to endure, I mean, it's the ultimate finish for them. They've survived in the Premier Division, and they're here for a day out today, and I'm sure they're all going to enjoy themselves.
12 months ago, it was a very happy occasion for Manchester United. They proved much too strong for Chelsea, another of Dave's former clubs. But this may be a harder battle today. Let's pause to meet our match referee. A marvellous day for him, Gerald Ashby.
The 1995 FA Cup final. The teams are out on the Wembley turf, as you can see. Prince Charles is the guest of honour, and we do apologise for cutting into, it was something out of our control, cutting into the singing of Abide With Me. Ron Tilson did volunteer to sing it for you later on tonight. We might just take him up on that. And if you haven't heard, the news on the lineups is for Manchester United, Ryan Giggs is not playing. He'll be on the bench, although he has made a tremendous recovery from his injury, but obviously not fit enough in the opinion of the team management to last the 90 minutes. So he's on the bench. Nicky Butt is the man who comes in his place. And a similar story with Duncan Ferguson at Everton. He's on the bench as well. And replacing him is Graham Stewart. A quick comment on that, Tommy.
Well, I think the managers have pulled the right strings there. You don't put players with injury doubts into an FA Cup final at Wembley. You can bring them on, but you don't put them on at the start. I think it's wise on both managers. But Everton, obviously, with a very, very defensive and destructive setup there, and Nicky Butt, who comes in, also a very hard, destructive player.
Ron, on the team changes?
Well, you've got to be 100% on this day, Les. As we all know, there's no good being 90 or 80% fit, because you'll soon get found out. And if there's any doubt in any players' minds, they don't normally walk onto the park as much as they'd like to be there. But still, great alternatives. If they're struggling, it's 0-0. Giggs will come on and he'll weave his wand, and the same with Ferguson. So great alternatives if the result is 0-0 or still tight after 45, 50 minutes, second half. It'll still be a hard game, Les. It'll be a tough one.
It will be.
Les, could I just say this?
Okay, I think they're ready for us at Wembley. Let's go to our commentator, Martin Tyler.
Welcome to SBS viewers, welcome to Wembley. Everton against Manchester United, the 114th FA Cup final, and Joe Royle described the Everton selection as his most difficult in management. 17 in his squad, down to 14 stripped, unable to participate. This 11 to start, it's the side which swamped Spurs in the semi-final. Daniel Amakachi, a substitute again, and Duncan Ferguson, who's done so well after a double hernia operation, to make the bench. As for Manchester United, from the 11 who came out at Wembley a year ago, Cantona, Kanchelskis and Parker are missing for well-documented reasons. And Ryan Giggs, after a month out with a hamstring strain, he is a substitute. So those who were not in the starting side a year ago against Chelsea, Gary Neville and Nicky Butt of the Young Brigade, and Lee Sharp and Brian McClare, who both came on in the later stages in that demolition of Chelsea last season. The players will be very happy with the weather here today. It's not as sunny and hot as it has traditionally been on cup final days so often. There's plenty of cloud cover, there's a bit of breeze. And marvellous rivalry between two tremendous clubs who've had very differing seasons, of course. Alex Ferguson had to suffer disappointment on Sunday. And should Manchester United fail today, having done the double last year, it'll be the wrong kind of double this year to come as runners-up in both the league and the FA Cup. From fourth official a year ago to the man in charge today, referee Gerald Ashby. Well, Alex Ferguson and Joe Royle have forged a close friendship based on mutual admiration and respect. The two captains, Steve Bruce and Dave Watson, had a terrific time together in the colours of Norwich City back in the mid-80s. There's a lot of focus here on the two goalkeepers, of course, Peter Schmeichel and a very colourful Neville Southall in a strip of predominantly yellow. And behind Paul Ince, Mark Hughes, who so nearly joined Everton in January. All the pomp and circumstance associated with the FA Cup final. A full house at Wembley. The build-up has been tremendous. It's an occasion that everyone in England is rightly proud of, even those who are born elsewhere. And all the players conscious, with His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales in the centre of the picture there, conscious of the importance not just in this country but all around the globe. Some not so lucky to have tickets today. Ken Bates, the chairman of last year's beaten finalist Chelsea, and behind him the England coach Terry Venables. Eric Cantona, who's missing through his own shortcomings. Of course, he did play in the third round against Sheffield United and scored an important goal in the start of this cup run. Well, we finally arrive at the appropriate time. Everton kick off in the 1995 FA Cup final in the blue shirts and white shorts. They go into this match having beaten Manchester United, important Premiership fixture back in February, when they put on a barnstorming performance, but it was very, very close, and there are many who expect it to be equally close here at Wembley this afternoon. Neville Southall, a survivor of the final between these two clubs 10 years ago, as indeed is his fellow Welshman Mark Hughes in the United lineup. 10 years ago, when Manchester United won by a goal to nil, when they were down to 10 men, when Kevin Moran became the only player still to this date to be sent off in a final. Here's Keane, who was sent off in the semi-final this year. But chance for an early cross. Hughes going in sharp as well. Lee Sharp climbing. He's got a good record of getting goals against Everton. And as Butt provided the ball in, it was Sharp who got his head to it. Nicky Butt, 20 years old. The production line is working well at Old Trafford. Mark Hughes has been around a lot longer, and should he be on the winning side today, it would be 4 medals for Manchester United in the FA Cup, the first player this century to achieve such glory in this glorious competition. But Everton will have their own ideas about that. They've been reborn under Joe Royle, who's had just 6 months in charge. Stewart, Limpar, and Schmeichel just kept it out down by the post. Anders Limpar, one of a number of players who has found so much better form and belief since the change of management, and he nearly found the opening goal then. And Everton have now what is very much a strong part of their game, a right-wing corner taken by Hinchcliffe. Schmeichel turns it away. United have been practicing defending against these set-piece situations in which Hinchcliffe is so prominent. And they can take a short one here if they think quickly, which they do. Limpar to Hinchcliffe. Manchester United back on their heels a little bit. Here's Horn. Pallister heading away. Helped on and out of play by Butt. So both sides have had an effort at goal. in the opening couple of minutes. Schmeichel doing very well. It was almost as if he was startled by the strength of Limpar's shot, maybe surprised that he was allowed to get it in. As Stewart and Limpar plotted for that opening. Gary Neville, whose season began when he was dropped from playing in the Manchester United reserve team. He was so out of touch, and here he is playing for the first team in the FA Cup final. Roy Keane still has a disrepute charge hanging over him from that incident in the semi-final replay, and he was red carded against Crystal Palace. But he quite properly has been defending his right to be involved in the final. There were many who thought he should have been banned. Pallister. Knocked forward by Watson. Pallister's there again. Here's the dependable Dennis Irwin. A bit of slack marking at the throw from Manchester United. Limpar has put it too near the goalkeeper. Limpar played here before in a semi-final for Arsenal against Tottenham in 1991. He was a loser then, but missed out when Arsenal won the FA Cup 2 years later. Limpar was injured. Every FA Cup final brings a story of delight and despair. Which way will it be today? The 50th post-war final. There have been many 50-year anniversary celebrations for non-sporting reasons around the British Isles over the past few weeks. Unsworth. Bruce plays it out, off right out. Every game Everton have played, really, right from the very start of their season, has been fraught with pressure, because relegation was a real possibility. It was a probability halfway through the season. But they've dug themselves out of trouble, and they're even talking now about playing this game as a relaxed affair. Joe Royle certainly has been trying to put over that attitude in the build-up to the final. He's a very good-humoured character, and of course Everton through and through. McClare, it's... No one has really got a grip yet in midfield. Here's Neville. Barry Horn alongside Joe Parkinson, the number 18. Crucial to the Everton battle plan in the engine room in the centre of midfield. Bruce. Now it's, there's Parkinson getting a tackle in, but the referee says it was an unfair one. Hughes. Nudged back by Matt Jackson, the right back for Everton, who hasn't been playing in the league games. But Parkinson certainly had a good season, and he was a Mike Walker signing. Although the Walker reign was short, there will be certain players he'll be remembered for, including bringing Duncan Ferguson down initially on loan from Rangers. Touched on from Stewart to right out. Everton made a storming start in their semi-final against Spurs, and they were underdogs then. They haven't quite been able to get enough of the ball to do that as yet here. But right out, angles it on. Irwin, confidently done, involving Ince as well. Watson. Header by Pallister. Jackson right in the thick of it, and Horn as well, bumped by Sharp. Ablett. Paul Rideout, who's having the best season of his career. Alec Ferguson, such a regular visitor to Wembley with Manchester United. It's almost their second home. But maybe he, like the rest of us, wondering quite how United will react to coming so close to retaining their league crown, and much closer than it seemed. But that disappointment hasn't had too long to evaporate. This is surely the best way to bounce back, if they can, for Manchester United. Keane for Irwin. Sharp, as you'd expect, providing the width on the left. He's taken it infield cleverly of Jackson. And the touch was from Ablett. And United have a corner off Gary Ablett. Very neatly done by Sharp. And there was no cover. The ball rolled quite a long way away from him, but there was no one there to help Jackson out for Everton. And Sharp will take the corner himself. Ince and Bruce almost fighting each other for the right for the header. And set pieces have been so important to United, really, since Cantona and Kanchelskis have been out of the reckoning. It's been much more noticeable, the number of goals they've got from free kicks and corners. Flag is up. There's no doubt Manchester United, in this particular age, provoke extremes of emotion. They have huge support in this country and indeed all around the world. But there is an anti-United feeling, no one can deny that. The players have been disappointed with it, jealousy perhaps of their success, of their wealth. It hasn't always manifested itself in a pleasant manner either. And there are those who believe that United's behaviour on the pitch when the pressure is on hasn't always been to exemplary sporting standards. The Cantona episode, of course, reinforced the argument of United's critics. Ince has a good look, but Irwin has been spectacular from this range. He puts in so much practice at the training ground. He scored from a free kick in the semi-final. Everton get the block in collectively. McClare tries to clip it, does so, and it was always rising, and Southall not discomforted. But Brian McClare had time to just change his mind there and go for goal himself. All starting from Irwin's free kick. Bruce took it down well. The pass was just behind Ince, and he's had to make Schmeichel scurry in turn. Pallister. In the end, a year ago, United saw off a team in blue, Chelsea, with some measure of comfort. What Everton have been able to do, it's not been a case of changing the personnel to improve the results. The belief has gone back into the Everton team. They have a winning method now. There's been a lot of energy expended in getting it right, and even into the last week of the league season, there was still a risk that Everton would be relegated. They have a hunger now, but so too do Manchester United. We've won trophies every year in the 90s since the FA Cup here in 1990, which was so important to get the Alex Ferguson regime really going and build it into the dynasty that's it's become. Hinchcliffe playing wide on the left of midfield with Ablett behind him at left back. Watson, this lion-hearted character who captains Everton. And down the years he's had some monumental battles with Mark Hughes, and another one shaping up in a Wembley setting. Keane. Bruce. But able to turn. He's a young man who, if he has any nerves, he certainly barely betrays them. That might come for Sharp. It did come for Sharp. And it was a chance. A deflection that could have really damaged Everton here. It flew up off Watson, and it came on Lee Sharp's good left foot, but it certainly wasn't a good left-footed shot. Portraying perhaps the tension felt by even those who've played here before. Such is the FA Cup. Pallister. Both managers kept their team lineups very much under wraps until they arrived at Wembley. There was always the chance that Ryan Giggs might make a late bid for a place, that Paul Rideout could be partnered by Duncan Ferguson. Both those players are options for their respective managers from the substitutes bench. Horn. Pallister is there. Neville. Unsworth couldn't dispossess McClare, and Manchester United switch it to Sharp. Owen outside him, but Ince trying to get through the centre. It's going to be a final full of fierce commitment. I'm sure you've recognised that already. Tenacity in the tackling. Northwest rivals, of course, the two clubs, although there's not really the hatred between United and Everton that there is between United and Liverpool, certainly between sections of the supporters. And it was good to hear from the police who guided the team coaches in that all outside the stadium was very good humoured today before the match. Limpar. Well, that was risky. Sharp gets the cross in, but competing for it. Keane trying to locate it as it dropped. Parkinson did it better than him. Only Stewart forward at that instant, but as Rideout tried to support him, United got the ball back. Irwin. No one wanting to give an inch. With Sharp twice and McClare, Manchester United have already had 3 sights of Southall's goal, but the most difficult save has come from Schmeichel. Owen's free kick. It wasn't Southall who got to it, I don't think. Hinchcliffe missed kicks. Retrieved by Keane for United. Takes on Hinchcliffe, gets past him. Watson stuck out a timely foot. Bruce. Well, Stewart thought he was fouled. You can hear the Everton contingent felt the same. Gerald Ashby has been a referee who's followed Joe Road. That's still looking on. A little surprised that the referee didn't blow. Then a referee who's certainly taken a hard line, as FIFA have instructed him to do so this season, as well as his own FA. Keane's there. Here's Butt. Horn went for the ball, must have made some contact with it. Leclerc given a moment to turn. Horn. Well, you're watching here, and it's been from the first whistle through getting on for 20 minutes now, the fight for the right to play more flowing football. Neither side has won that battle as yet. Here's Watson, looking long. The runner is right out. Alistair plotted the course of the path, and the pass well. Owen, here's Sharp. Plenty to the right of him in United red. Free kick given against Parkinson, who comes from the Manchester area. They wait for Bruce and Pallister again. It's been productive, particularly Pallister, in this cup run. But Ince. Keane. Only hit Ablett. One or two signs that Manchester United are starting to get the upper hand in midfield, where they're realistically playing with 5 players. Leclerc dropping in there as often as possible, leaving just Hughes as the out-and-out striker. Right out, Limpar. Parkinson. Here's Horn. That's a lot of Hinchcliffe. It might have been better to let it go because he's presented it to Butt. Hughes hoping for a long ball there that might have freed him. Steve Bruce has had some back trouble recently and felt something then as he turned the ball out of play. Oh, a concerned look from Alec Ferguson. Pallister. Here's Keane. Neville can get it away. Not very far. Ablett. Stewart for Ablett again. Here's Limpar. Claiming handball on the block. Not given. Ince. Owen to the left of Hughes. Butt getting into the penalty area, but they're short in the centre. And Ablett, who was an FA Cup winner here in '89 for Liverpool against Everton, turned it back to his Everton goalkeeper Neville Southall. But what of Steve Bruce? Something twinged down the back of the leg then. Ryan Giggs, who knows all about hamstring strains, that's what kept him out since the semi-final replay when he went off at Villa Park against Crystal Palace with just that problem. And there's a bit of bounce back in Bruce at the moment. Well, it's the robust style of Roy Keane, and sometimes he does overstep the mark. And Everton have a free kick conceded by Keane. Taken by Hinchcliffe. But really, they'd be trying to bypass the head of Pallister. Limpar looking for a goal that would grace the Wembley archives. Bruce, meanwhile, just trying to run off the pain that he felt. It's the definitive picture, isn't it, of Wembley Stadium on FA Cup final day. 80,000 in the ground. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say 800,000 would like to be here from Manchester and Merseyside alone. Keane. Bruce plays safe. No sign of a flinch. 34 now. And with a number of managers' jobs now vacant at big clubs, he's been tipped as a man who will make his mark in management sooner or later. Owen. Caught out by Parkinson. Ince. Offside against Sharp. Everton, who had this unwanted record as the club that has lost the most FA Cup finals, 7. Including the last 3 in 85, 86 and 89. But you have to get here to lose, of course. Well, they talk about the wide open Wembley spaces, but there's not much room in the context of this game for the sides to show the attacking talent that's in the ranks. Every challenge being made as though the destiny of the cup depends on that moment. Limpar. Pallister got to it, but only hooked it high. Stewart heads it back to where he hoped right out might have been back on his feet. He wasn't quite quickly enough. McClare. Hughes. Now Neville. On from McClare, but trying to be the furthest forward then. Hinchcliffe. And this is Stewart. And United open for a moment, right out. Was stopped by Owen's covering position, which was from the textbook when a left-back needs to get into the centre when others are labouring. He's been proud of the goals he scored recently. He is now the United penalty taker, but he's proudest of all of Manchester United's defensive record. And in the defending, he plays a prominent part, as he did then at a critical moment as Stewart sped down the left-hand side. Jackson, that's Schmeichels. Here's McClare. I often say United are at their most dangerous when Peter Schmeichel has the ball to spring them forward instantly, but some of the pace and indeed some of the class missing with Kanchelskis and Cantona. Keane. Everton able to regroup. And even after the error by Ablett, still get the ball momentarily. That is the way it has been. Unsworth. David Unsworth, good enough to be chosen by Terry Venables for a recent England training session. That's the full England squad. Square-shouldered number 26, Rhino, to the Everton aficionados. 10 years ago, it was just as tight between Everton and Manchester United, separated in the end by one superb goal from Norman Whiteside. Keane judged that well to get behind Hinchcliffe. But Limpar, and now Jackson, right out, unable to prevent the ball crossing the line. Ince. Here's Keane. Now Neville. Keane again. Hughes. Keane. McClare, he's the one who's just occasionally finding an oasis of space. Ince. And it's spun away, fortunately, of Watson's clearance, which was deflected to Limpar, and Everton have got 4 up, and if they play it right here, they must make a chance. Jackson, Matt Jackson. No. Yes, from Rideout. Graham Stewart hit the underside of the bar, and Paul Rideout put it in the back of the net. And what went wrong for Manchester United? Schmeichel and Bruce have the post-mortem. United were overcommitted, and Everton broke and kept their nerve. Matt Jackson did so well, and Graham Stewart here beat Schmeichel, but not the bar. Rideout up and in for Everton. After half an hour, and the underdogs have taken the lead, and Rideout, who was a schoolboy scoring star here a long, long time ago, and it's his first game back at Wembley since he played here for England schoolboys, has still got the scoring touch on the big stage, and his best season gets better and better. And Ryan Giggs goes off for another limber up with Paul Scholes. Manchester United, the FA Cup holders, are behind. Everton needing a little attention to Parkinson, maybe grateful for the time just to get used to the position that they're in because of this. Joe Royle perhaps thought Stewart had wasted it, but it was right out to the rescue. Yes, yes, it is for Everton. Wembley has never seen a goalless FA Cup final, and it won't this year. Although there were some signs in the opening half an hour, it was so tight and so tense. It's blue and white on the flags that are waving and the scarves that are being unfurled. Silent at the Manchester United end for the moment. The supporters will be back. They'll hope that the team will be back. But here's Stewart, and just taken from his toe by Schmeichel, who hurls it up to Hughes. Ablett. Hughes. Here's Limpar. And Pallister wanted the goalkeeper to come and claim it. Unsworth. Here's Sharp, McClare. It's been a season of some turmoil for Manchester United. They kept on going with their very sharp competitive instincts. They did very well in the end to get so close to Blackburn in the league. And here they are, at the moment, in the toils in the FA Cup final. Owen takes. Here's Butt. Well, they've had their strikes at the Everton goal, but there's been nothing too much for Neville Southall to concern himself about so far. Ablett. Horn going in. Free is Hinchcliffe. Right out the scorer. That's a good idea to try and take on Steve Bruce, particularly if he's trying to disguise a problem from that earlier injury, but Bruce recovered well enough then. Ince heads it on. Hinchcliffe, who began with Manchester City, of course, pursuing Keane and fouling him then. And there are 10 minutes left in the first half. Hughes holds it up beautifully for Butt to take over. McClare. Everton with plenty behind the ball. Keane. Hughes again. This is Neville. Nicely done by Rideout. Horn. Everton coming into this final, 8 games unbeaten, a run that started with the semi-final. So Joe Royle's side not short on belief. And the confidence can only have been increased by drawing first blood here, particularly in a game that's been played in a very fierce manner, but Ince dwelled, Limpar, Stewart's in again. Well, Manchester United used to be the counter-attacking specialists, but they're being caught out here by a style that has served them so well in the past. Limpar to Stewart, it could easily have been 2-0. Ince. This is Irwin, now Sharp. Alex Ferguson and his players need a goal. Andy Cole, of course, cup-tied. It's Hughes pulling away with a wonderful Wembley record of goal-getting to his name. Joe Royle knows all about that. Remember the semi-final last year when Joe was in charge of Oldham. Jackson. Oh, it's Bruce. And the linesman saw an offside. But when you look at Manchester United's performances over the last couple of months or so, the way that they've got their goals, very different from the swashbuckling style of last season, when the double was done so deservedly, and they were undoubtedly the outstanding club side in the country. But things have changed. They have to be a bit more pragmatic in their approach. Hughes leaves it to McClare. Ince still being played in front of Everton with Keane. Neville. It's bucked, flicking it only to Parkinson. Right out. Neatly done for Limpar, who knew exactly what was on and executed it admirably. This is Graham Stewart. He only really had one ball to play. If he wasn't going to go for goal himself, he was trying to fashion it for right out, racing up on the opposite flank. But Limpar's contribution, even though Everton haven't had a dominant amount of possession, has been very, very influential. His father, who's Hungarian-born incidentally, has come over from Sweden to lend support. Hinchcliffe takes, Schmeichel fists, Limpar calling for a touch, gets it from Jackson, knocks it off sweetly for Hinchcliffe to try and deliver another ball. It comes to Matt Jackson via butt, deflection, and a corner off Gary Neville. And every corner means extra concern for Manchester United when Andy Hinchcliffe is placing the ball as he does now. Watson is in there, Gary Ablett as well, and also Jackson, over whose head it passed. Right out and Ablett having a little discussion, and they've changed their positioning. A searching examination, this, of Peter Schmeichel and all those defending for Manchester United here, and that is all the team. Hinchcliffe again. Oh. Well, it was Ablett. And you have a little cameo here of the class of the Hinchcliffe corner and the constant danger it poses to whoever is on the receiving end. Gary Ablett with a flick there that could have sped into the top corner, but it was just too high. Irwin. Jackson guarding Sharp, but Sharp heads it on. Watson trying to patrol against Hughes, who's fouling him. Dave Watson coming into this final with a damaged left foot, but he said to me down in the tunnel, it's only my left foot. Nothing to worry about. Don't use it very often. Oh, and Stewart and Rideout left it to each other. Made it easier for Bruce. Sharp. Limpar. Stewart chases. Neville. Oh! And Schmeichel. And the young right-back in a situation of potential peril then, as Stewart kept on chasing and very nearly came up with the goods. Keane going in with Hinchcliffe, thinking perhaps he might have played it off the Everton number 3. He certainly felt the force of the challenge, but a corner it is. It's another short one on here if they want to play it. But Limpar whips it in. Headed out by McClare for another corner. 2 minutes to go to half-time, plus stoppage time. Limpar, who's lighting up this FA Cup final when they can get him on the ball. Been very hard, particularly in the opening half an hour, for any one individual to influence the proceedings for his team, but Anders Limpar has grasped this final by the scruff of its neck. And Manchester United so far have not been able rather to keep tabs on him as they would wish. Hints does beat Limpar in the air. Handball given. Remember, Everton didn't win in the league until November the 1st. Didn't win any game until November the 1st. And win today and they'd be in Europe. But this is Owen. With the formation that Alex Ferguson has put out, United guaranteed to get plenty of the ball in midfield, but it's in the third of the pitch that they are trying to attack, but they're coming up short so far. Bruce. But they've been in difficulties so often in the past, United, and they have this strong backbone which somehow sees them out of trouble. And Leclerc for Butt, and they could have got out of trouble then. Nicky Butt coming in from the right-hand side. Leclerc saw him. And the contact there involving Ablett wasn't seen as deliberate by the referee. Fortunately for Everton, unfortunately for Nicky Butt. Leclerc. On Sunday, in their last Premiership game at Upton Park, United were very below par in the first half and splendid in the second. They want to find that improvement in the second half here, because they go in at half-time. Joe Royle can have a half-time smile, because it's 1-0 thanks to Paul Rideout's header after Graham Stewart had hit the bar and Everton had broke away, leaving Manchester United very short of defending, and they took that chance. Are they good enough now to steer the right course through the second half? Anders Limpar, the one individual really to emerge after a fraught opening half an hour, when it was the tackling to admire and not the flow to the football. But at half-time in the 1995 FA Cup final at Wembley Stadium, blue is the colour at this stage. It's Everton 1, Manchester United 0.
Is on for Manchester United in the second half. There he is coming on, and he has replaced Steve Bruce. So a sad moment for Steve Bruce. Surely this would be his swan song if Manchester United were to win the cup. Let's go back to Martin Tyler.
Roy Keane has gone to right back. Gary Neville to centre-back. Manchester United start the second half. They've lost only 2 of their last 29 since Christmas. At Liverpool in March and at Everton in February. Is Merseyside going to make a mess of it for Manchester United again? And United now have to do it, if they can recover in the second half, without the powerful presence of Steve Bruce. But they do have the verve and the flair of Ryan Giggs to play up front with Mark Hughes. Giggs has taken on the captain's armband. Neville, who gave a very composed display in the centre of defence recently in a league match against Sheffield Wednesday, when a switch was needed during the game. Giggs. Oh, it comes for Butt, but Southall was too close to him for Butt to be able to do anything but play it against the goalkeeper and behind for the corner. Well, Ryan Giggs arriving here in style, and it was a teasing ball, and it was misjudged by Ablett. Southall had to make the save. Sharp with the corner. Southall got to it. Pallister biding his time and then using Irwin. McClare. Irwin. Well, this is better from Manchester United, and Ablett has to be there again. And he did it rather more decisively this time. But the outcome is the same. It's a corner. Well, without Bruce, Pallister becomes even more important. Keane goes towards the near post, so does the ball, but Jackson stops it, reaching Roy Keane. But Sharp. One constant theme, really, since Joe Royle has taken over as manager of Everton is how well this side has done on the big occasion. They've beaten Liverpool, Leeds, Manchester United, as we've mentioned, Newcastle on a couple of occasions, all at Goodison Park. They were splendid against Spurs in the semi-final when they were very much expected to come off second best. They did lose at home to Blackburn, but only Blackburn really knew how they got those 3 points. It's a sense of pride that's back in Everton now. They could have been destined for the Ensley League Division 1, and now they're playing here not just for the FA Cup, but for a place in Europe next season as well. Rideout got to the ball first. He's had plenty of injury problems over the last couple of seasons. He's wearing those cycling shorts beneath his Everton shorts to protect vulnerable muscles. He's limping at the moment. But Everton are leading. Ablett. And they had the chance with Graham Stewart to get 2 in front before half-time. Long from Irwin. Hughes. Put out of harm's way for the moment by Unsworth. Giggs. United's throw. Well, Everton have doubled up on Lee Sharp then. They've just left Graham Stewart upfield, and only Gary Neville at the moment back marking him. Sharp. McClare on hand. Parkinson gets it away. And Rideout is labouring. Irwin keeping it in and clipping it forward to where Barry Horn has to concede the throw, taken quickly by McClare. Characteristic of his quick thinking. Obstruction on Sharp. And it's a bit edgy for Everton at the moment. Oh, Giggs, they've neglected him, and that was very tame. Paul Rideout is going off. And on comes Duncan Ferguson, whose career has been dogged by controversy. But Duncan is back from hernia surgery. It's a very rapid recovery. The player who scored the winning goal for Everton against Manchester United in February, that was his last goal, in fact. His season also fraught with disciplinary perils from a couple of sending-offs since he's become an Everton player, and also the consequences of action towards the end of his time in Scotland. After which he now faces an anxious wait as to what punishment will be given to him in the courts. But he's playing in the FA Cup final. So both sides have had to make a change. And Gary Pallister will certainly be asked to pick up Ferguson. That comes off Unsworth's head for Giggs, and he's sent another one off target. It's been an up-and-down season for Giggs. He's had some good spells. He's looked below par. He's had a serious injury, and he's not been scoring goals. He got 17 last season, only 4 this season for Alec Ferguson. Pallister beats Duncan Ferguson. The United fans enjoyed that. Manchester United have started the second half well. Everton have had to concern themselves mostly with defending so far, but they've got a lead to defend. Paul Rideout's header after half an hour, but the scorer now substituted. Sharp. Parkinson stuck out a foot. United have the ball at the throw. Sharp with a chance to cross. Parkinson's there. Leclerc with a nifty header down for Keane. Now the right back, remember, but a very advanced right back at the moment. He's claimed and he's got a corner. Everton a bit slow to regroup. And there's a push by Ince. Was headed out safely enough by Joe Parkinson. Well, we know it is a royal occasion. In the royal box, will it be a royal victory for Joe Royle? Sharp. Owen up to Hughes. Giggs on the left. And the ball has crossed the line. And it is a goal kick. Well, you can see the referee couldn't possibly have decided which way to give a free kick, as both players were grabbing hold of each other. And as Giggs tried to retrieve it, the linesman flagged, and we restart with Southall's goal kick. Pallister's header. Bourne trying to keep things ticking over in the centre of midfield. Up to Ferguson's head from Ablett. Duncan Ferguson, who has scored 8 goals for Everton, all of them at Goodison Park. That was high. On butt by Horn. And Manchester United have a free kick. On this side of the pitch, if it's going to go directly at Southall's goal, most likely to come from Giggs. But it's not going to go direct. Keane's still there to bend it across. That's Butt looking to bulge the net with a volley. But for those watching who support the United cause, as staff or supporters, so far it just hasn't happened. Stewart defending from the front. Everton have won the FA Cup 4 times. And a spread from 1906 to the last time, 1984. Hughes was in the United side that beat them in 85. Giggs goes in and then leans in. And for fouling Watson, it's an Everton free kick, and Southall has taken that rather craftily, and it's another free kick. Ince on Stewart. A year ago, Manchester United came here with all the swagger, the style and sophistication of an eminently successful season behind them. But they've been shorn of key players at key times. And Everton at the moment continue to stop anything really majestic developing from Alec Ferguson's team. Giggs. This time it's a decision for United. It's a key phase in the game now. And Southall. Play on is the referee. Giggs had a look. Southall coming and getting to the ball as well as his Welsh international colleague. Keane driving on, as he will do surely at every opportunity. And no real airs and graces about Manchester United's performance here, but they're battle-hardened. They must feel that Everton possibly will get nervous as the time ticks away, and they're so close to the prize. But it's a good stretch by Unsworth. Good turn by Horn. Hinchcliffe clever with the pass. Everton breaking out. Stewart continuing the neatness to Everton's football. Oh, and Horn lets it run, and suddenly here's Sharp bearing forward. Hughes hadn't gone offside, the flag had stayed down. We haven't seen anything of Limpar yet in the second half. We're seeing him now. They used to call him the Super Swede at Arsenal. He certainly had spells to justify that for Everton here at Wembley. But they would like him at the moment, or like to get him on the ball at the moment, to redirect the traffic, which is moving more towards Southall's goal. Hughes with a flick. This is Ryan Giggs. Sheer weight of numbers. Everton stop him. Space for Horn and for Stewart. And on the left here for Ablett and for Hinchcliffe. It's not been moments of great trepidation for Everton defensively, but they've had to be vigilant at the back so far in the second half. They certainly haven't worn the grass out in this half of the pitch, but Ferguson gets the better of Pallister. Still Ferguson. Gary Neville could easily have put that into his own goal. And Everton have a corner. And now they have Ferguson's power in the air, which is considerable, to try and utilise from the set pieces. Linesman flags, and the service didn't come that time. But he's quite adept on the ground as well, as Pallister found out. And Neville, anything less than a firm contact on that, and it would have flown into his own goal. Owen. United supporters trying to lift their team. Sharp. Owen. Sharp again. Bounced well for Watson. Limpar wanted it short. Watson has got it right up to Ferguson, who's all on his own. Stewart now helping him. And coming up on the left is Hinchcliffe. Stewart's kept possession beautifully, decided to go for the safer ball rather than the penetrating ball. And United have reshaped their defending. But here's Stewart again. A product of the FA school at Lilleshall, and those who taught him the game can be proud of him today. Hinchcliffe. Just trying to lift it for Ferguson. Schmeichel helped it on marginally. Horn. Ince. Here's McClure. Is one goal going to be enough for Everton to win the FA Cup? But United straining for an equaliser. And McClure! Oh, and so near for Sharp as well. Ferguson wrestling with Pallister. Referee not really required to make a decision. I don't think he would have given it in any case. United got the ball. They so nearly got the goal. The last 5 FA Cup meetings between these two clubs have finished 1-0 one way or the other. It's 1-0 to Everton here. Hughes. We've had almost 20 minutes in the second half, and it's spun away from Sharp there on his weaker side. Keane. Watson regained it from Hughes. Limpar. Off goes Stewart again. His movement troubling Manchester United. Ferguson's on through the middle. Maybe with a few games behind him, he might have been able to move on to it just a little more resolutely. His cross. Oh, Owen's header has gone to Parkinson. Powering in, characteristically. But all started again with the work of Stewart. Finding spaces. They talk about the big Wembley pitch. It's not as wide as either Old Trafford or Goodison Park, actually. What tends to happen on FA Cup final day is that it looks bigger because players do get tired from the tension and often from the heat, but it's not a hot day today. Keane. 0 for a Cantona to pick a pass in that type of situation for Manchester United. On this right-hand side, 0 for Kanchelskis to use his almost jet propulsion to unsettle defenders. Ferguson feeling where Pallister was and giving the defender a problem. Duncan Ferguson, given his checkered past, certainly keeps himself to himself, but those who know him well say that he is misrepresented with his public image. Parkinson. Limpar. Finding a bit of extra speed to get the room. All through the game when he's been on the ball, he's shown a splendid awareness of where his teammates are. Hinchcliffe. More chasing for United here. Everton, who were a bit slow at the start of the second half, finding something extra as we reach the midpoint of the half. They'd love a second goal, which, given the way United have played today, you would think would ensure that they would win the FA Cup. And Limpar's potential is still not being quashed by Manchester United. Sharp. He shows he can tackle as well. Sharp coming back to show that he can tackle. McClare. Ince. Good running by Giggs. And the pass waited well enough for Giggs to collect. Matt Jackson, the defender. Giggs is past him. McClare! Hughes is in there. It's as close as Manchester United have come. And McClare, with the inside of his head as well as the outside, raced into position to read the deflection. Back off the bar. And enough Everton bodies around, particularly that one belonging to Joe Parkinson. Joe Royle is going to bring on Nigeria's Daniel Amakachi, whose entrance into the semi-final was sensational. On that occasion, he rather sneaked on when Paul Rideout was ready to come back on, having been injured, and he scored 2 goals. He's properly on this time, in place of Anders Limpar. That's Parkinson again with the header. But Keane. United, who pulled out all the stops, all their fighting spirit to stay in the championship race until the very last kick of the season, being asked to do the same in the FA Cup. Now, as in the league, they need a goal. Then they didn't find one. Will they here? Neville. Everton all back behind the ball. The front two are taken out by the pass. Owen. Free kick. I could have taken it quickly. It's easy to say that sitting up here, but energy to store for Everton. Well, they've been through so much together, the management team. Anders Limpar's been through the final here as far as he's concerned. In a way, it's been a cameo of his career. Great moments, but maybe not enough of them for Joe Royle. Paul Scholes getting ready to come on for United. As United in this FA Cup, sponsored by Littlewoods Pools, look for a goal to make it a score draw here at Wembley. They have a corner. Clear-cut chances, very thin on the ground. Short corner, McClare and Sharp. Sharp! Well, he fired it. And when it left his foot, there seemed to be some promise, but there was no end product for Manchester United again. Paul Scholes being asked to come on and try and provide that. And it is Sharp who goes off. That was his last contact with the ball. Scholes, who made his debut this season in a cup tie in the League Cup and scored twice against Port Vale. McClare, but Parkinson there again, the barrier. Unsworth lets it run. Southall really winds himself into the kick and, like a golfer straining for extra yardage, has hooked it. And no sooner has Paul Scholes come on as the second Manchester United outfield substitute, and Nicky Butt is in pain, and he doesn't show that lightly. Parkinson giving another example of what he's in the team to do. Has to get the ball, incidentally, not to hurt the opposition, as he's done to Butt in passing. In 1984, Everton won the Cup, and in 1985, they lost in the final to Manchester United. In 1994, Manchester United won the Cup. Are they in 95 going to lose to Everton? That's the way it shapes up at the moment. But all of you know so much about this captivating competition that no one will be taking anything for granted. Certainly not the players out there in red shirts who have become accustomed to taking trophies back to Old Trafford. If they fail here today, then the cupboard for this season will be bare, save for the FA Youth Cup, which was won on Monday, incidentally, side captained by Gary Neville's younger brother, Philip. Jackson, Ferguson, runners to the left-hand side, two of them, Hinchcliffe and Ablett, the two you'd expect. Hinchcliffe, Amakachi, who played here against England in November for Nigeria. And that ball spins away from him and away from Schmeichel as well, out for a throw. Neville. Giggs. Owen supporting him infield, pass not tailored for him. Hinchcliffe. Ferguson. Ablett. Is Paul Rideout's goal going to be enough for Everton? Can they find the cushion of a second? Hinchcliffe trying to find a corner. Well, now able to pick a pass to Barry Horn. Back into the corner again, a suspicion of offside. Linesman had a look, flag stayed down, in goes Ferguson. The fist of Schmeichel was strong as it had to be. At attacking this type of ball, there are few better in the modern game than Duncan Ferguson. And when he's fully fit, he's even more of a handful than he was for Schmeichel then. Parkinson. But here's Giggs. And Scholes comes in. Scholes again, and Neville Southall with a double save in an FA Cup final at the age of 36. That might mean another winner's medal for him 11 years after the last. The substitute looked a great bet to score here. Southall kept his shape, didn't go down too soon, and he was quick enough when he was down to deal with the follow-up from Paul Scholes. Giggs made it all happen. And Scholes, who's only been on a matter of seconds, can't score, and Everton, thanks to their veteran goalkeeper, are still in front under the gauge of Eric Cantona, who, like all on the United bench, was sensing an equaliser then. Everton's free kick. Well, you might remember in the semi-final that Tottenham were mounting a comeback, and Southall made a save to stop the game going to 2-2, and Everton went straight up the field and scored the third and crucial goal. Can they repeat the feat here with Hinchcliffe? Well, he's got it high enough to clear any defenders, but it cleared the goal by some margin as well. And harking back to Paul Scholes' chance and Southall's save, there are some players you wouldn't fancy in that situation. Scholes in his brief career has shown already that he can definitely get goals at this level. There was a time over the last couple of seasons when obituaries were being written to Neville Southall's great career. You'd hear whispers on the game's grapevine that he'd lost it. And you've seen here that he hasn't. Ferguson. That's Jackson. Amakachio, unlucky, it's out. Unlucky for him. He's had a checkered time. Mike Walker brought in from Belgium Football for £3 million to sort out Everton's dismal start. But alone he wasn't able to do that when Joe Royle came, a fleeting appearance, and then Amakachi was banished to the reserves. But he re-emerged, particularly in the semi-final, in quite sensational fashion. And here he is playing in the final at Wembley. Dispossessed from behind by Neville. Hughes. Now Irwin. Just over 10 minutes to go. Horn. Schmeichel never looks unnerved in those situations. And, you feel he could make a contribution as an outfield player. He may well come up for any late corners if it stays this way. Hughes. Giggs with the cross. Ince. McClare trying to get it to Scholes. And Hinchcliffe just got it back to Southall, who was able to prevent a corner and skim it out of play for a throw. Which Keane and Scholes tried to use to come up with something here. Moore pressure on the Everton goal. Scholes with a cross. Oh, and Southall gets across to save from the saviour for Manchester United in the semi-final against Crystal Palace, Gary Pallister. And there wasn't quite as much pace on the header as it first seemed, but it still had to be caught, and catch it brilliantly did Southall. Ince. Giggs. United digging very deep. Ablett matching Hughes stride for stride then. But this marvellous character, Neville Southall, like all goalkeepers, a workaholic, and all the practice makes perfect when the games come around, and the big games need significant saves. We've seen them from Southall today. But Joe Royal will remember the semi-final which was played here between Oldham and Manchester United last season, when Mark Hughes stopped Oldham getting to the final very, very late on. And so he might still fear the worst. Between the ManUtd and Ferguson tried to ease those anxieties. Scholes. Ainsworth had to be right on his mettle then. Ablett there to help him. Here's Keane. But McClare. Well, two went for the same ball. Giggs gets to it. Jackson helps it out. Keane heads it back. A flick from Paul Ince. Watson wanting to get it to ground so he can clear it further. It's come for ManUtd. Hinchcliffe. Up for Ferguson, trying to tease Pallister in again. Oh, and Pallister slipped, and Ferguson is in here for Everton. Horns in the centre, ManUtd there as well. He was looking, Ferguson, for Horn, and Roy Keane rescued United with the header. Ferguson. Well, just asking ManUtd to put some pressure on here. And take up some more time. That was very well read defensively by Keane. Well, for the young United fans, these are very worrying times for all United fans. But back go Everton again. Ince. Giggs, but the finish just isn't there. His last goal in the league, incidentally, was back in August. He did score, Ryan Giggs, in the FA Cup in one of the earlier rounds against Wrexham. But he's lost that touch in front of goal. Well, Southall's lost the ball, and it was Watson behind him. Has a long throw, which has helped United recently, from Gary Neville. Almost unhinged Everton. Ben. Neville gets a yellow card. He was very nearly suspended from this final, Gary Neville, for accumulation of penalty points for bookings throughout the season. He had to pay a hefty fine, £1,000 for young players, a lot of money. And he didn't get suspended. But there's another black mark against his name in the FA files for a yellow card in the FA Cup final. Ferguson, a bit of leaning on, possibly from Pallister, no complaints from the Scot. Unsworth. Ince is there. That's a free kick. And it's a booking for Horn. United, I think, wanted the advantage to be played. Well, the history of this great competition is full of late drama. United trying to conjure up more here and take it into extra time. But they're running out of time at the end of a long and demanding season. And Watson recovered. Misjudged by Neville. McCutcheon falls to Everton blue in the shape of Hinchcliffe. McClare, though, intervened. But Hinchcliffe can leave it to Ablett. And Schmeichel sweeping up here, far from home. Horn intercepts. And still goes in, tigerishly. The captain of Wales, of course. For just the qualities that you saw then. McCutcheon. Schmeichel hammers it forward. But tugged back by Hinchcliffe. It's another opportunity for Manchester United to make something here, and as predicted, Peter Schmeichel has come up. Well, there's been so many things in FA Cup finals, but a goalkeeper scoring an equaliser. Giggs. Schmeichel doesn't get there. Owen, who normally hits the ball so cleanly, but these aren't normal times. At least the miss hit allowed Schmeichel to get back. Could have broken Everton's way. Could have been real curiosity time. Southall being told by the referee to get on with it. The Everton fans who've been watching with a fair amount of anxiety, it's been that kind of season for them. They can take nothing for granted. And now beginning to accept that their team are so close to what they came here to do today, to win the FA Cup. Pallister pushed upfield. Is Joe Royle going to have another Wembley day ruined by a late equaliser from Manchester United? Hughes, who got that one in the semi-final against Oldham here last season, doesn't get too far. Everyone wanting to know how long there is left. On my watch, a minute. Gerald Ashby's is the watch that counts. Paul Rideout scored the goal. The only goal so far in 89 minutes of FA Cup final football here. And Schmeichel this time is going to take the free kick. Aiming for Pallister, and he's found him. And this is Hughes. And that was Watson. A wonderful contributor to the Everton cause down the years, and crucial then. Neville with a chance to hurl it long. And it is very long. Watson's there once more. This is Stewart, smacked away by Jackson. Schmeichel's up on the halfway line. Irwin. We're into time added on. Southall has got it for Everton. To an ovation in one half of the ground. Is there going to be any sort of Houdini act here for the holders? Giggs. Running Jackson. Running past Jackson, but not past Horn, who has to settle for the corner. Up comes Schmeichel again. everyone in and around the Everton penalty area. ManUtd, there's no goalkeeper. He's having a look to see whether he can take aim from here. Schmeichel isn't even back in his own half yet. And it's still ManUtd. An extraordinary ending here at Wembley. And Everton have won the FA Cup. It is a royal occasion at Wembley Stadium. Joe Royle has transformed Everton from the edge of relegation into Europe. And it's second best for the second time this week for Manchester United. A despairing double this time. Neville Southall was simply splendid. His saves in the second half, after Paul Rideout had scored the only goal to take the cup from Manchester to Merseyside. And a season which started so gloomily at Goodison Park ends so gloriously here. United's resources stretched by unforeseen circumstances sometimes. Joe Royle has waited for this moment. Manchester United have made a tremendous effort through the season, but they've ended empty-handed. And such sweet revenge for Neville Southall. Everton have avenged in '95 the defeat here in the final of '85.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the match, number 5 for Everton, Dave Watson.
Everyone predicted a really tight contest, and that's what we got. But one chance was taken, and Dave Watson and his defenders and his goalkeeper were good enough. Even though Schmeichel came up to threaten them, they were good enough, they were great enough to see it through. Steve Bruce, who had to watch in the second half, the frown on the face of Alex Ferguson, the contemplation from Cantona as to what might have been if on that winter's day at Selhurst Park just a little bit of restraint had been shown. No restraint here from the Everton fans. They'll be pinching themselves. Problems all the way, it seemed, through their season. And look at this. Sheer pleasure at the end of it. And Joe Royle has been responsible for an amazing Everton revival. Neville Southall has been responsible for some superb goalkeeping. The double save from Paul Scholes. And Manchester United, a year ago, were cock-a-hoop. And now you sense they just want to get up, get their runners-up trinkets and get away. 6 days in which their season has gone sour, but my goodness, they were at the heart of the season for the vast majority of it, for all of it, really. Steve Bruce limps up a loser this time. The FA Cup waiting for Everton with their ribbons already on it. Many of these United players, of course, have winners' medals already. In the fullness of time, that will be some comfort, but not at this moment. No record for Mark Hughes, who has to stay on 3 wins. One wondered, looking at Manchester United recently, if they weren't going to score from a set piece, where were they going to get a goal? Well, they didn't get a goal. Alex Ferguson leaves the stage clear for Everton, who are led up by Dave Watson, this lion-hearted man of Merseyside, a loser here to Liverpool in '89. But Everton have won for the 5th time. Merseyside has had to give way to Manchester in recent seasons, but not today. And after an appalling start to this season, it's been such a remarkable comeback that's led to this marvellous moment of triumph. A royal presentation to Joe Royal's team. The FA Cup goes to Everton. Well, they have been saying, the Everton players, that every game has been a cup final for them. So they were ready for one more. And that showed. Anders Limpar has his medal. Joe Parkinson, who's been great in midfield. David Unsworth, the defender with a great future. Graham Stewart, who hit the bar, and Paul Rideout, who popped in the rebound to win the cup for Everton. Andy Hinchcliffe, the shy man who says he won't give interviews. Well, maybe he will now. But he's participated in this marvellous victory at Wembley. And Gary Ablett, who did it with Liverpool against Everton, has done it for Everton today. And the manager who was born just up the road from Goodison Park, Joe Royal, who returned to the club he graced as a player. 6 months he's been the manager, and what a time he's had. Bobby Charlton pays his respects then, and you can be sure that Joe Royal will treat this triumph with the same good humour as he's been treating the difficulties in dealing with the threat of relegation, which only, it seemed like days ago, was eased at Everton Football Club.